Chapter 11, Section 1 in the 7th grade note-taking guide is entitled Probability. So now we're going to take a look at some very rudimentary statistics and probability material. You'll probably like probability because a lot of it is just simple work with fractions, and we have a pretty good understanding of fractions at this point in the game. Writing fractions, maybe some reducing fractions, a little bit of adding and multiplying, maybe a tad bit of subtracting. Really pretty easy stuff that we already know how to do with fractions. We're just applying it to a different concept. So let's go ahead and take a look at some definitions here. Definition of experiment, that's an activity involving chance. So if you can come up with an activity involving chance, it's an experiment. Definition of a trial, that's each repetition or observation of experiment. So whatever it is we determine that involves chance, every time we do that experiment over and over again, the result each time is one of the trials. The outcome is the actual result of the probability experiment. An event is a set of one or more outcomes of an experiment. So when we group the different outcomes together, that's called an event. Probability is the measure of how likely an event is to occur. Probability is ranked between 0 and 1. 0 means something will absolutely not happen. 1 means something is absolutely certain to happen, and you can have any value in between there as well. So for instance, you can have 0.25. 0.25 would equate to a 25% chance of something happening. Complement is the set of outcomes that are not the event. Complements describe events that together have to always happen. They total up to 100% of the probabilities. Simple event is an event with a single outcome. That's pretty self-explanatory there. The compound event is two or more simple events. So if we take a look at number 1 here, they're asking us to determine whether the event is impossible, unlikely, as likely as not, likely, or certain. So what they've done here is instead of giving us that 0 to 1 values to respond with, they've given us some words to respond with. These are in order, however, from no chance of happening, which is what impossible would stand for, all the way up to a chance of 1 of happening, which is certain. 0 means there's a 0% chance of something happening, equating with impossible. 1, it means there's a 100% chance of something happening, equating with the word certain. And you can go ahead and throw down any number you'd like for the other ones. As likely as not is obviously a 50-50 chance, which means there's a 50% chance of something happening. Unlikely, if you want to throw a number on it, well, if it's between 0 and 50, unlikely would mean maybe there's a 25% chance of something happening. Likely, well, if likely is between 50% and 1 or 100%, that means there's a 75% chance of that happening, or something right around there. So here, we're talking about rolling an odd number on a number cube. Well, if we're talking about rolling an odd number, there are 3 odd numbers, 1, 3, and 5, and then 3 things that are not odd, 2, 4, and 6. So you have the same number of chances of getting odd as you do not odd. In other words, there's a 50-50 chance here of not getting odd or getting odd. So that means here, rolling an odd number is as likely as not. 50-50. A bag contains circular chips that are the same size and weight. There are 8 purple, 4 pink, 8 white, and 2 blue chips in the bag. The probability of drawing a pink chip is 2 out of 11. What is the probability of not drawing a pink chip? So, these events describe complements, which is very clever in this question because there's a way I could have said this that does not describe complements, which actually would have been really easy to do. But because they're saying the probability of getting pink or not getting pink, that's all that can happen here. If they would have said pink and purple or pink and white or pink and blue, that's not everything because it leaves out all the other colors on the list. So then it wouldn't describe complements. But because they're saying pink or not pink, that's everything. That's all that we can have happen here. It's either got to be pink or it's something else, something that's not pink. All right, so what they're saying here is that the probability of drawing a pink chip is 2 out of 11. Now, if we go through it mathematically, from this second sentence, we're not actually going to see 2 out of 11 directly. We see that there are 4 pink chips in the bag, and if we total this up, there's 22 total chips in the bag. So 4 out of 22 would be the direct probability of me finding a pink chip. However, that is a reducible fraction. 4 out of 22 reduces to 2 over 11. So here where they're saying what's the probability of getting a pink, that's where they got 2 out of 11 from. Okay, so if pulling pink happens 2 out of 11 times, how many times does not pulling pink happen? Well, remember, these two have to add up to be 1 or 100%, everything. So you need the other fraction there that you're going to give me for not pink to make those two fractions add up to make an equivalent of 1. Well, that means not pink has to pull up 9 out of 11 times, because 9 out of 11 and 2 out of 11 go together and make 11 out of 11, or a full 1. So that means not pink pulls up 9 out of 11 times. Mandy's science teacher almost always introduces a new chapter by conducting an experiment. Mandy's class finished a chapter on Friday. Should Mandy expect the teacher to conduct an experiment next week? Explain. So they're asking us to use the same keywords that we used a couple of examples ago. Key phrase here is that she almost always introduces a new chapter by conducting an experiment here. Well, if she almost always does that, that means there's a pretty good chance she's going to do it. There's that real small chance she may not. So if we go back to that list of words that we had back there in the first example, we started off with impossible. Impossible meant there was a 0% chance of something happening. Certain equated to 1, indicating there was a 100% chance of something happening. And then we had all the options in between. Unlikely, as likely as not, which was really a 50-50 chance, likely, which is the closest I can get to 100%, or 1 without being there, and again, 1 was certain. So if she almost always introduces a new chapter, that's going to have a pretty strong possibility here. So as we head down the list, it's not certain, but it's going to be 1 beneath it at likely. So since the class just finished a chapter, it's likely they will start a new chapter and conduct the experiment. So in the concluding example here, once again, they're asking us to practice using those keywords here, which is what you'll spend a lot of time doing in the homework here. Determine whether the event is impossible, unlikely as not, or certain, rolling a 2 or 4 on a number cube. Well, 2 and 4 are 2 options on that number cube. What are the other options? Well, we've got 1, we've got 3, we've got 5, and we got 6. So 2 winning scenarios here, 2 and 4. 4 losing scenarios here, 1, 3, 5, and 6. So it's going to be less than 50-50, because 50-50 would be 3 and 3. I'm only at 2 and 4 here. So it's not 0. Obviously, it can happen, but it's not looking too good here. So that one we're going to answer by saying unlikely.